Testing, testing. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Waka waka. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for sending me those questions for the Q&A today, which is March the 26th. And I posted a video a couple of days ago asking you what questions you would like me to answer for this video. So the first thing we're going to do is go over the YouTube questions. I got the most feedback there, and then we're going to cover the Facebook questions. Okay, so let's see. The first question comes from Phil Boostdemon. Says, congrats on getting your car running again. Actually, it's a multi-part question. There's, I think, 2 or 3 of them in here. First question is, am I going to upgrade the turbo? If finances were no limit whatsoever, I would most definitely upgrade the turbo. It's just at this point in time, paying for the rebuild and having to buy all of these extra tools that I had no idea I was going to need kind of let my pockets dry. So depending on how much it would be to either upgrade the standard turbo or how much it is to fix, that'll basically determine if we're going to stay with the stock unit or go ahead and upgrade it. Because if it's $700 to fix it and it's $1,000 to upgrade it, then I'm just going to upgrade it at that point, because that extra, $200-300 isn't really going to change a lot. Next question from Phil is, are you looking into running E85 or port injection for more power? In the future, I'm definitely looking at E85. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a Snow Performance kit. And, well, not a Snow Performance, sorry, Devil's Own. And I'm going to run one meth nozzle in the cold side charge pipe just to make sure that the cylinders stay cool enough, because that's an additional effect from meth. So instead of using it to make power, I'm using it to keep the cylinders cool, just until I can actually go forward with upgrading the turbo. Third question he has is, I'd like to get an EcoBoost Mustang in the future, but I was curious to think what ultimately caused the motor to let go. And that's a really good question. So what ultimately caused the motor to let go on one level or another is heat. The problem is that on cylinder 3, if you remember how I had the pictures in the video, the ringland basically cracked. So let's say this is your ringland, and this portion basically cracked off. Cylinder 2 lost a piston skirt. It was completely just sheared off, which I don't know how that happened, but regardless, the cool thing, or the lucky thing on my end, the car was burning oil, but I was still able to nurse it back home. If you remember the video, I showed you the actual cylinder walls. They weren't very damaged at all. It's just the tolerances from Ford are so tight. Even if you need to bore over the engine by the smallest bit, you have to put sleeves in it, and that just wasn't in it at that point in time. One thing to prevent all of this, of course, is to not run as much boost, or to sleeve the block and run aftermarket pistons and rods. The main thing here is that basically when the ringland breaks, the piston ring is basically touching. Yet there's usually a tiny little gap, and as it gets hotter and hotter, the gap gets closer and closer to closing. Once it's closed, the piston ring will start to basically wave around, and when there's nowhere else to go, it's going to start breaking shit. So that's essentially what happened, and that happens because of heat. You could blame the turbo, because the turbo is small for the car. I was at Boost Lab the other day, and they're basically saying that the turbo is way too small for the vehicle. And Ryan warned me about it, others have warned me about it. 27 PSI on a little tiny turbo, even on E30, it's still going to create problems, which this is what happened. Next we have Joseph Began, sorry if I said your name wrong. He's basically saying that he's planning to do a Vargas Mustang EcoBoost Stage 2 and a Stage 2 turbo upgrade, and he thinks it's the best option. Let's see. Stock turbo, manufacturing, blah blah blah. Did you install forged pistons? I did not install forged pistons. Reason being is that I'm planning on doing circuit racing, and for the competition or the group that I'm in, the block has to be stock. So I'm limited by that. I don't really know how they can tell whether or not your block is stock, but it's more to the point that I'm not really looking into cheating, and you got to be honest with your stuff. Plus, I've documented everything on YouTube, so I can't do that. Power Sports, which is a buddy of mine, which if you haven't subscribed to his channel, he's currently working on a Porsche 944. He also has a Turbo FRS. Shameless plug right there. He actually noticed that we have a spare block, so cat's out of the bag. We do have another block that is getting fully built. That'll be something that probably won't be completed until the end of the year or even sometime early next year. It's completely on the back burner. Like I said, there are many other things that I want to do before getting back into building another block, and hopefully this current block that's in the car will last until then, if not longer. Next we have Bad Omen, and his question is, what got you into the car culture, and what did you decide you like fast cars, and when did you decide you like fast cars and want to build them? So this is one probably of the most favorite questions that I have, and basically when you look at car culture as a whole, I was 16 or 17. I was very fortunate to have a very loving family, and sorry, it looks like there's a bird. And my first car was a 2006 Scion XP, like those toaster cars. And one day I was coming home from high school, and as I was driving, I was stopped at a light, and at the intersection there was a black Mustang GT, a 3-valve, and a black Toyota Supra, basically drag racing. And I think that's what really drilled it into my head that I wanted to build a fast car and race them and compete in one way or another. If anything, that's something that's been like etched into my mind, because it was just, it was the, to date, I would say the single greatest moment of my life, because it was so, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, it looked like it was in a movie. It was just so perfect. And the guy that owned the Supra at the time, I believe his name is Austin, he has crazy JDM cars. He had an S15, he had the Supra, which he then traded for a Camaro. Very smart guy when it comes to financial decisions and getting different vehicles. I don't know what he had after the S15, but he usually has cool JDM toys, and he also has a legit way of getting them into the country, which, you know, some people say it's military, some don't, I don't know, but usually really, really cool stuff. So that's that. It's just, that day, I decided, like, it was beyond mesmerizing. And if something like that happens to you, you're very lucky, because that's something, like I said, I was 15 or 16. That was 10 years ago, and I still remember it to this day like it happened yesterday. So that's what got me into the car culture. Let's see. Let's go to the next question, which comes from Nico Locatelli, and says here, what caused the turbo to give? What do you have done to the car? I have an EcoBoost as well with a Stage 3 tune. What caused the turbo to give? Basically, when the engine went, small little pieces of metal went into the turbo, because, well, when the exhaust valve's open, that's where stuff goes. So right now we're thinking it's the thrust bearing that broke, because the turbo isn't leaking off from the rear, it's just leaking off from the front. So something broke. What do I have done to the car? Basically the car's full bolt-ons, except it has a stock intake manifold, which I'm not planning on paying $3,000 for an intake manifold, which I say that now, but in the future it may happen. It just really depends on what's out at that point in time. I'm really wanting to try another cylinder head. pardon me, or see what options we have as far as using the stock intake manifold. I know with the 350Z guys, they have composite manifolds as well, but they can get them bored out, so maybe there's something we can do with that. I may get in touch with MA Performance. I know they have been researching that to death and back, so we'll see with that. You being on a stage 3 tune, I'm going to assume that you're on a Cobb stage 3 tune. All I can say is make sure you keep your parameters in check. I'm sure you don't beat the crap out of your car like I've done, but I always recommend staying on a off-the-shelf tune, or as I call them, can tunes, for the least amount of time possible, because nothing can make your car as safe or reliable as a pro tune. Now, of course, if you tell your tuner, hey, I want you to push my car to the max, that's what's going to happen. But outside of that, they have a lot more control than what somebody in a completely different state has set up for the car as far as parameters are concerned. Next, what we're going to do is, let's see, we're going to go to the fan page, quote unquote, and there aren't really a lot of questions on it. We don't have a lot of subscribers, so 2,000 subscribers at this point in time. Well, 1,900. 2,000 is very close. Let's see. Okay. Next thing we have is from Brandon Lofton. And it says, what turbo would you like to put on the car if this one is gone? If money was no option and I could get any kit I desire, I would probably get, I would put a Precision 6266 ball bearing, or I would try to fit a similar sized BorgWarner turbo onto the car. Just, I love their turbos, and it's, I went to Boost Lab and I saw some of the turbos on there, man, they're like this big, and I'm like, just one, it could spool at 4K, I don't care, just give me one of the big ones. If that would probably be, if money was no option again. But otherwise, I would probably go with something similar to a Vargas Stage 2. I was planning on contacting Vargas, but there's just too much going on right now. I need to get the car back on the road. And like I said, if this turbo is busted and the repairs cost similar to an upgrade, I'm going to go ahead and upgrade. But from looking at the turbo and hearing from what Boost Lab had to say, I really don't think that will happen. But if it does, it does. If it doesn't, we're staying with the stock unit. Next, we have another turbo question, talking about, would you consider a bigger compressor wheel while you're at it? Again, that has to do with the possibility of me being able to upgrade it while it's already out. So again, it just all depends on cost at that point. Let's see. What else do we have? We have that. Oh, here's another one. Do you have a video on what happened to your car and why it blew? We covered that. Let's see. This is from Shivo's Adventures. I think I'm saying the name wrong. Says he's thinking about getting a 2017 Mustang EcoBoost, and he doesn't want to blow his car up. And am I Samoan? I'm not Samoan. I'm German, believe it or not. And as long as you, here's the thing: if you don't race your car, and if you keep it stock, in theory, it should not break. My car was pushed to its limits, and Ryan told me so, and I think I've said this in many videos before. Since the day I picked up the car, it's been beaten on every single weekend. So that was with when it was stock, when it was can tuned, when it was Atom tuned, when it was PD tuned. So, pardon me, it's been beaten to hell and back multiple times. So as long as you don't go as excessive or as drastic, you shouldn't have a problem. outside of that, you know, just really make sure you have good maintenance on the car, and, you know, change your plugs, change your oil. You know, make sure you stay on top of maintenance, and, you know, if you do get a Pro Tune, that, you know, you trust your tuner, and compensate, you know, for what area you're in. You know, a tune for, I don't know, New York isn't going to be the same for a tune that's in Florida or in Oregon. You know, you just got to make sure that you're getting something specifically customized to you and the location that you're in. Let's see. Next we have Fenrir Pack, which is another YouTube question, and he's asking, where is Southern Racing, and are you keeping the car after this? Will you trade it for something else? So the joke was that if the car wasn't going to start, I'm going to put everything back together, drop it off at Ford, and get a GT. However, the car did start, which means we, the whole group, everybody that helped out did a good job. And the thing with the turbo is very unfortunate, but I don't plan on getting rid of the car. More to the fact that it's not a unique opportunity, but as far as, you know, being, I don't want to say being different, because everybody, like, there's a ton of people that have Mustang EcoBoosts. But for example, when I went to Boost Lab, they were talking about, you know, having heard about a friend of mine whose name's Josh Parker, who has a red EcoBoost Mustang and my EcoBoost Mustang, saying, oh, they're the real EcoBoosts in, you know, this area. And that was kind of cool, because, you know, everybody can have a Mustang GT, everybody can have a Camaro SS, and they're just another person. But when you're an underdog in terms, and people recognize you from other people talking about your cars because they're impressive, or they're fast, or, you know, they do crazy shit, that's something that kind of sticks with you. And I did, how would I say that? When I went to the dealership to pick up the car, it was either going to be an EcoBoost or a GT. But ultimately, my family and my girlfriend at that time basically pushed me into the EcoBoost because it's me. It's very hard to explain. My personal friends understand it. So the EcoBoost was more of a car that described me rather than the GT, and that's why I picked it. It spoke to me. Let's say it that way. You know, like when you go, like, when you watch those movies and, like, the dude, like, looks over something, like I don't know, Harry Potter, when he picks up the wand, it's like, that's what it was like with the car. Just without the light and the, you know, it was just the car and I communicating. Where is Southern Racing? Southern Racing headquarters, if you want to call it that, is located in Tampa, Florida, but we travel all across Florida. So we're in Central Florida, Southern Florida, Northern Florida. We have stuff coming from the Panhandle, Miami. We're Florida based. So the main plan is to Southern Racing to basically expand through, you know, the southern states, because it's Southern Racing. But ultimately, what I would want to do is maybe not be as big as 1320 Video, but 1320 Video basically covers only street racing, and my goal is to cover more than that. You know, we want to have events, actual, like, racing, like circuit racing events, because that's what I'm doing, and then, you know, meets, anything like that, just all of the racing scene, not just one specific area. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in. Again, if you want to subscribe to my channel, go ahead and do so. Southern Racing up there. Dan, who is my partner in Southern Racing. And then, of course, if you want to support us, go ahead to the website, pick up some stickers. And don't forget, it's not over until you win. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. If you want to see more races, go ahead and check out Southern Racing. If you want to see more stuff about the Mustang GT, go ahead and check out Dan's channel. And if you want to support the channel, or any of the channels really that you see right here, go ahead and follow the link to the website, buy some awesome stickers. Again, guys, thank you so much for the support, and remember, it's not over until you win.